already said they're struggling to stay on top of the bugs as well as delivering new content, adding new versions. Right now, let's just imagine they have to add a Series X and a Series S version. That would then need to be patched. It would need to be updated. What that would be, I think, logistically challenging for the developers right now. And the virality and the popularity of Helldivers 2 is potentially driving folks to buy a PlayStation 5.
Look familiar? Scenes like these are happening all over the galaxy right now. You could be next. That is, unless you make the most important decision of your life. Prove to yourself that you have the strength and the courage to be free.
Join the Helldivers.
Wah, 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 wah. Wah, wah. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, wah, wah. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah.
Step up.
Wah, wah, wah.
Screenshot.
We must take back control of freedom. The galaxy's last line of offense.
Welcome to all you wonderful new recruits. Today starts a glorious occasion. As of today, you will fight along with your brothers and sisters for the glory of spreading liberty for the greatest planet of all, Super Earth. You will fight tirelessly for your planet and will spread the word of Super Earth against our enemies. Some of you may die, but it is a sacrifice I am willing to make. For it is all in the name of democracy. You are probably wondering why the sudden outfit change. Doesn't matter. Super Earth matters more than that. You are questioning my loyalty? Do I have to report to your democratic officer? If you can't tell by now, I have been having a blast with Helldivers 2. Developed by Arrowhead Studios, Helldivers 2 is a sequel to the top-down shoot-'em-up original game from 2015. Make no mistake, despite the perspective change, the game is a one-to-one sequel to the original. So everything the original has is here too. But one thing that wasn't in the original game was the amount of players that bought it, estimating to have sold 8 million copies and still retaining most of its players on Steam. The developers have come out and said that they want to make this the best live service game as they possibly can, not knowing that they've already accomplished on that swimmingly. Helldivers 2 not only is the best live service game to come out in recent memory, but it also manages to bring back not only the 4-player co-op extraction shooter genre back from the dead, but also showcases to so many examples of, hey, that's how you do a live service game. But the one thing I think a lot of people overlook is that it manages to do the one thing companies refuse to do, and that is respect its audience. I know what you're thinking. How exactly does it accomplish this? Does it succeed where others failed? Why is this world and universe so captivating? Well, let us find out. Grab your weapons and prepare to dive into hell. This is my love letter to Helldivers 2. I do want to talk about this game's story, quote-unquote, for a tiny bit, because I don't think there's much to say on it to begin with, so this will be quick. But honestly, what I want to point out the most is how this game has unironically created one of the best pseudo-narratives without any real cutscenes or storytelling in the traditional sense. As part of Super Earth, you serve a true democratic state. A totally not authoritarian, totally not fascist in any way, shape, or form democratic state. Any allegations of that will be treated under sheer swift force and 500-kilogram bombs. As you can clearly tell, the main similarities that the world of Helldivers 2 has are that of Starship Troopers and Warhammer 40k, with a hint of 1984. And if there's anything I learned being a 40k fan myself, we are used to cheering for factions that in actuality are absolutely disgusting. But because people take it so not seriously, that people directly roleplay it constantly. And the best part is, everyone knows. but they just love role-playing for democracy, and it's such a sight to behold with how much the community blew up as a result. I mean, there are so many YouTube shorts where people pretend to be conspiracy theorists, and at the end they get cut off for spreading information and treason.
In Helldivers 2, what if I told you that all of the events of the game were entirely Super Earth's fault, and now they're scrambling to politically cover it up? This is absolutely not an approved message from the Ministry of Truth, so I'll have to tell you quick. Ever wondered how the Terminid bugs travel from planet to planet? Well, they don't. Super Earth spread them and put them into containment facilities to farm them for element 710, which, funny enough, if you flip upside down, spells oil. These bugs then broke out, slaughtered the residents that Super Earth themselves sent to live there, and had to be destroyed. So send in the Helldivers, call it a war, and blame the bugs to sweep it under the rug for freedom. That's also what the dissenters, aka the poor people who were probably slaughtered by bugs, left broadcasting at propaganda towers, if you break protocol to actually pay attention to them before blowing them up. So basically, spread bugs everywhere, have your own citizens killed, call them dissenters and liars if they speak the truth, and then send in the Helldivers to blow everyone up and sweep it under the rug. And oh man, the automatons, the whole reason they're doing what they're doing is because...
There's even videos from automatons, quote-unquote, spreading misinformation on YouTube that are hilarious. The self-awareness of this game is so next level and so ingrained that it's no wonder that people continue to roleplay the blissful ignorant. Helldivers 2's meta commentary runs deep into the game, and it's extremely appreciated, even more so with how the developers refuse to put any outside politics into the game, because it wouldn't fit the theme. I appreciate those that continue to do things the way they want to, and they create the game they want. And it's definitely the case with how the game plays and how it tackles the live service model. Alright, soldier! To be prepared for the fight ahead, you will need the right liberation tools to do the job. As new recruits, we will need all the bodies that we can get. You must also know the enemies that we are fighting against. These include the tyrannical Terminids, and the dreaded socialist automatons. Two enemy forces that are a threat to democratic society and our way of life. The Terminids are dangerous hordes of bugs that we totally do not use the oil off their corpses like some have claimed. That is propaganda and will be dealt with accordingly. I am having way too much fun with this. Anyways, above all else, the biggest selling point of Helldivers 2 is its wacky and fantastic blend of comedic moments with friends and high-tense gameplay amongst the vast galaxy that you are given. It's a 4-player co-op extraction shooter with a huge emphasis on the co-op. First thing you do is customize the name of your ship. I chose Harbinger of Destiny because it sounds cool. I got myself a group to play with, picked a map, and we made our way to the mission. This is where we begin to talk about the gameplay of Helldivers 2. What I love the most about that gameplay is how deep it actually is. Gunplay feels powerful and every weapon has a great amount of recoil. The way they handle characters diving prone is really cool looking and has substantial usage. Cover works well, and the maps are big enough to take advantage of the environment, which, by the way, the planets all look really beautiful, and use it against the vast amount of enemies that you will encounter. Guns are pretty standard for a sci-fi, from your pistols, your rifles, your shotguns, etc., as well as grenades. The works, right? But what I love the most about the gunplay is how much detail went into it. During encounters with the enemy, if you shoot at any body part, it comes off, and bug guts get splattered everywhere, and the body flies off in a different direction. For the automatons, it's just as cool. Wires and metal start spraying off, scraps are left all over the floor, and if you blow up their heads, they die quickly in realism. Which is good, because with the sheer number of forces that you will be dealing with on a consistent basis, you're gonna want to be precise, especially on higher difficulties. What's really cool is that Arrowhead doesn't add extra health to enemies or have enemies do extra damage on higher difficulties. You only just get more of them, and of a higher caliber. The range of how dangerous they are is dependent on the difficulty you choose. Does it make it easier more often than not? Oh hell no. What I also love is the vast enemy variety that only gets better the higher the difficulty. One moment you're fighting small bugs that die in one moment, and the next you're fighting tanks and gunships like it's the Clone Wars all over again. Destruction occurs all across the map, Your armor gets covered in blood and falls apart should you get blown up. The chaos of war just erupts in full effect, and it's just chaos on the battlefield. I love how Arrowhead approaches gameplay immersion this way, and it adds to the role-playing that the community is doing. Then, you add 3 more players and a new mechanic called stratagems, and you have a game that'll descend into chaos and war for several hours. Did I mention this game has friendly fire? Not a small amount either. Any and all aspects of this game can kill you, from the enemies itself to the environment to your own friends. This just means you would have to put a lot of trust in your friends. On top of that, we also have the stratagems mechanic. During gameplay, you have a limited supply of stratagem codes you can use in between each enemy encounter. These range from support stratagems like machine guns, shield generator packs, supply packs, and the autocannons. You'll love the autocannon. Then there's also the ability to call in orbital strikes, defense options like sentry turrets, and then there's the fun ones like a mech and the 500 kilogram bombs. You combine all of these mechanics together and the game is such a beautiful dance of death. And none of it is incredibly against a specific group of enemies. It's primarily anti-bug and anti-robot. The builds you create, the different armors you can collect, ranging from light to medium to heavy, having their own status effects as well. And you can't even forget the drip, man. There's such a wealth of content in this game that is even further implemented with its live service. More on that later. Build crafting doesn't end with you. It ends with your teammates and what you all choose to bring into each mission. But out of all of this comes together into a great mission designs and planet designs in one of the coolest war tables ever. You have a table board in which you choose the planet you want to go to and a mission you want to do, and choose a range of missions. These consist of holdout defense missions, rescuing scientists, destroying bug hives or bot bases, killing massive amount of enemies, and other side missions like destroying towers that send information, and that goes against democratic society. Refilling anti-tank ammo, and of course, collecting samples. These samples are the main source of progression in your ship, as you can add new stuff inside it as well as requisition points to unlock more stratagems. But be warned, because once you die, you drop them, so it's important to be careful in these missions, especially when you have only a limited amount of reinforcements to call every time you die. Each mission is given a certain time limit that befits the task, but once time runs out, before you extract, you can't call in reinforcements and you can't use stratagems. So it's important to be prepared for the task at hand. Everything is tested in this game. Your loadouts, your teamwork, even how you aim at certain enemies is tested. And you have to get at least C's. That C could also stand for comedy though, because that's what makes this game even funnier as you play. The game takes a Lethal Company Left 4 Dead type of approach, where the game turns from comedy to intense situations in an instant. You could accidentally kill your teammates all you want, but once reinforcements start to dwindle, things start to get very serious real fast. This is the type of 4-player co-op experience that people have been missing for such a long time, that games like Helldivers 2 have been able to rekindle in such a spectacular fashion that gives games like Left 4 Dead the life cycle that it still has to this day. All in all, I cannot put into words how fun and rewarding the game is, and I'll definitely want to go back and play more of as time goes by. The only negative I can say here is the performance. For full complete transparency, I played this game on the Steam Deck to where it runs okay. Frame rate is at a consistent 30 to 40 FPS, and I've had some stutters here and there, but it's nothing incredibly terrible. However, if you want to play the game in the best way possible, I do recommend playing it on PS5 or even better, PC. But despite all that, the game is a masterpiece in 4-player co-op and third-person shooter mechanics that has become a match made in heaven. But the main reason I have so much respect for this game is how much the developers respect its audience. I'll be honest, this part took the longest to think about, as I wasn't sure how I was able to tackle this idea. I have legitimately spent hours, no, days, filled with writer's block about how I was going to be able to approach this idea of how Helldivers 2 respects its audience and approaches live service far better than all of its competition currently. But to put it into a sentence would be to say, it is the best live service game that has come out in the last decade. I'm not even being hyperbolic, I'm genuinely mean it. And the biggest reason is because it genuinely respects its audience. What do I mean by that? Well, specifically, it's that Arrowhead makes it their best effort to show that the customer's time, attention, opinions, and money is valued when playing their game. When you're making a live service, or any game for that matter, the biggest thing people are expecting you to do is to continue support for your game, and have a long lifespan by offering new content, updates, patches, etc. And most importantly, the players want the most bang for their buck. When I think of failed live service games, I think of, say, Anthem, Evolved, Lawbreakers, and Marvel's Avengers. These games all had aspects that should have been great, but failed in execution, coupled with the games not getting a lot of support from the developers, have resulted in the inevitable death of each of these games. Hell, even the most recent example I can think of is Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. The game was filled with live service schlock and was trying to please so many people, but only failed to do so. Even more so with the Joker update getting little to no positive feedback in the game's lifecycle. I mention all of this because Helldivers 2 takes the lessons that all of these games failed at and tips the formula on its head. The developers have been consistently offering new enemy types, new weapons, the new missions, and major orders that have shared progression all quietly for free. Progression in general is fantastic as it's through war bonds. War bonds can be used to unlock cosmetics and weapons in this quasi battle pass type system, even though it's not really a battle pass, that is permanent. That's right, no fear of missing out, grind at your own pace, and you're never missing out on character progression. Yes, there are also microtransactions in the game, but a large majority of the cosmetics in the game are completely unlocked through normal gameplay, and most of the stuff in the store are at most $2 to $3 a pop. You never feel pressure to want to spend real-world money, nor do you feel like you missed out on cosmetic items. You can unlock it at your own time and at your own pace. In an industry where most character skins can be the price of an entire game, mind you, it's crazy to see a developer like this take the route of being ridiculously cheap, actually worth the money, and fun to unlock. Most of this is just incredibly unprecedented, and a lot of people want to come back to the game because not only are you getting the most bang for your buck, the customer also feels like their time is valued and matters. And there's nothing that gamers need to feel now more than ever is that they feel like their time spent with the game was absolutely worth it. That's the golden rule with being in this industry. Respect your audience. In a timeline where single-player games are filled with unwanted monetization, companies hire people that directly hate gamers and have outright said so, and where gamers are falsely advertised last minute, gamers have just continuously felt like they do not matter, and they continuously are talked down to, which is ass backwards as we are the ones giving them money! This just further proves that companies nowadays do not respect their audience. That's why Suicide Squad happened. Which is why it's always so good to see a game developer that seems to respect not only their audience, but also the medium they are a part of. We elevate these games further because they're the last bastion of hope and creativity in a world where it feels like it's completely devoid of any of that. It's always important to highlight those that respect their audience and not treat them like a cash cow that can be milked for all it's worth. Helldivers is able to do so, and that in turn breeds community that supports your game. Here's an example. There's a planet on the Automaton side called Malevolent Creek, or as the community calls it, Space Vietnam. A major order was dropped that Helldivers were ordered to have 24 hours to liberate the planet and stop the automatons. Do you know how long they were able to do so? 5 hours. Only 5. And players were all given a cape to honor that task completely for free. That's insane to me. Even more insane is how the community was able to liberate and take out the automatons altogether at one point. That's right, the bots were gone at one point. And then, when the bots came back, the divers were ordered to take those planets back. It's incredible! Then there's also the community going up against that bastard Joel. Who is he? We don't know. All we know is that he's a mastermind and a threat to Super Earth. Just the sheer amount of content made about this game is something that should be studied. There's fan-made animations, promotional artwork made to honor those who fought in Malevolent Creek, as well as entire videos made to a fellow Helldiver who passed away, and tens of thousands of other players send him off in honor for his passing. It's so fascinating to see a game like this was able to foster a community this respectful and wonderful in the span of 2 months. Hell, even playing with randoms was fun. Normally my kryptonite in any other co-op shooter. I have not encountered one terrible experience playing with random players, and when you get a game to complement something like that, it is an immediate success in my book. That's the beauty of respecting your audience and their time playing a live service game. It leads that amount of support and fosters a community, myself included, that still continues to fight and play this game for democracy, and I can help put those bugs and bots exactly where they belong, into the damn dirt.
Oh, man! This jellyfish! I want you to get in line! Are you hurt or are you injured? You got shot? Are you hurt or are you injured? There's a difference. If you're hurt, get up, dust yourself off, and get right back outside and fight! 5-star general. Woo! I see you. This is war! Now we know the opposition has a better navy than us. Who the hell gonna go fight them in the water? You'll be a fool! You know the opposition on the other side has a better air superiority. Ted Hunt, you gonna fight them in the air. You'll be a fool. We have a better infantry. We're gonna take them to the ground and drown them in the water. We're gonna beat them to death on the ground. Our way. You don't go inside a fight trying to fight Muhammad Ali by outboxing him.
Bars.
You're not gonna beat the champ trying to be the champ the way the champ is.
Yes,
You have to be you. Something to stand
Talk
for.
to him, King. Let him know.
Now you guys are in my DM. King, what will we do? We will hold the line.
Helldivers 2 is such a massive success on all fronts, and the only real thing I can say is that the game will only get better from here. This game is a textbook example of how games should be made, with a singular goal in mind and a desire to respect your audience time, attention, and money. From its stellar gameplay, its wealth of content, and its consumer-friendly approach to live service, it makes it one of the best 4-player co-op games I've had the pleasure of playing and will keep playing. I have so many friends that still play this, and I will continue to do so myself. More content is always coming, and I can't wait for what else Arrowhead cooks with this title. And I'll definitely be there because my fight for Super Earth is important. Now why are you wasting your time listening to me, soldier? There is a war to win, and your fellow brothers and sisters are continuing to fight for our planet, and they've already beaten 90% of the enemy's population. Unfortunately for you, soldier, you are fighting the 10%. So finish that cup of liberty, grab your weapons, and prepare to give your life for Super Earth. For in this love letter to Helldivers 2, there is only liberty and democracy.